Hello. I'm live, I think. Hi, guys. Can you see me now? And hear me now? I'm so sorry. I have been here for 6 minutes talking, but nobody could hear me. So I was teaching myself, apparently. But how about now? Okay. Good. Oh, perfect. Hi, guys. I'm so sorry. I was here at 3 o'clock. I was on time. But I just spent 7 minutes teaching myself because I forgot to press a very important button. So I'm very sorry to be late, you guys. My bad. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry I'm late. I wasn't actually late, but I'm still getting used to the technology. Oh, that makes sense. Nobody was answering me, so I was wondering what was going on, but now we're good. How's everyone doing? Yes, I improved my English. That's right. I'm doing very well. Thank you. I just had a long weekend. As you all know, maybe that this past Monday, yesterday, was Canada Day. So I had a nice day celebrating my country and fireworks and the beach and lots of good food. I've been really good. Yeah. How are you guys? How was your weekend? Did you guys have a nice weekend? Did you do lots of fun activities? Nice to see you, Ahmed. Thank you, Tatiana. Yeah, it was nice. Pretty good fireworks show. Yeah. So, yes, I'm sorry for being a little bit late, but we will get started right away. I will go over 4 o'clock by 5 or 6 minutes, and it will be okay. All right. So, as you can see in my title here, this week we are talking about past passive, okay? So, the passive voice. So far, the last 2 weeks, we talked about past simple, past continuous, and past perfect, okay? So today, we are going to go over the passive voice form for each of these, and also practice when to use which tense, and if it's active or passive, and things like that. So let me just get one thing up, and I'm going to make my chat. There, see, Julian's backing me up. It wasn't my fault, but it's all good. Hello from Kurdistan. Oh, is it 1:08 a.m.? Very late. All right, guys, so as you can see, I have my Smrt page open here, and we will also do a lot of exercises on the document. So let's begin. Past passive. How is the size? Everyone can see? Science is saying poopy over and over. Yes, but no longer. We're good. We're streaming now. Okay. Here we are. Let's look at this sentence. When we went to the park, lots of beautiful kites were being flown in the wind. Okay, so this would be a mix of past simple, regular past simple, and then with the past continuous passive voice. Okay, let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. Zuhair. How's that? Zuhair, is that better? Whoa, one more too big. Hopefully that is a little better. I can't really make it any bigger, so hopefully it's better. Hello, Bide, welcome. Welcome, everyone. If you are new to the chat, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Feel free to participate in the chat, okay? I will try to acknowledge as many comments as I can. Hi, Lolly. Nice to see you. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example of a past continuous passive voice sentence, okay? So lots of beautiful kites. This is the object, and it's receiving the action, okay? In this case, it's a continuous type of action, so we need to use the continuous passive form. In the wind, prepositional phrase, and in this case, we are not talking about who is doing the action, okay? This is a really common reason to use passive. If you don't know who's doing it, you can focus on the object instead. So today we're going to go through each passive form and give many examples. Hello, Thailand, awesome. All right, so past simple passive. We need to use our past be verb, was or were, and a past participle, okay? PP, often referred to, past participle, PP. Let's take a look. They were told to stay at their place. This is a good example of passive. That's right. Good job, Kasewa. Okay, here, look at this example. The damage is the object. The damage was caused by a fire. So here we are including the agent. This is the person or thing that causes the action, okay? And we often do that with what we call a by clause. Lots of UFOs were being flown over Julia's house. Exactly, Richard. Yes, don't forget your be verb, were being flown. Good job. Here, another example. My phone was stolen. Past simple passive. So my phone is the object, was stolen, and that's it. And we are not including the agent because we don't know who did it. So there is no need to include it. We could say by somebody, but again, not very necessary. And one more example. The town was flooded. This would be an example of an obvious agent, okay, because it's clear that that would be a natural cause, okay? But if you want to include the agent, you certainly can by using by. The town was flooded by the storm, for example. Again, it's pretty obvious agent in this case. The soccer game was played in the evening, okay? So the focus in this case is more on the soccer game and not on the soccer players, okay? So let me go over to my document. Don't worry, I'll make it bigger. And I will share this at the end with you all as well. Okay. So past simple passive, was or were, past participle. Just make sure that the subject position is filled with an object, something or someone receiving an action. So let me get some more examples from you guys. So past simple passive, think of finished actions in the past. There are a few good examples in the chat already, so I'll put them down. They were told to stay, I can't type, at their place. Yeah, at their home. That's great. Next sentence, with the past simple passive, I was distracted by little flies. Great, good. Can anybody think of another example with the past simple passive? And I will wait for your idea. Let me put this here. My hair was cut. Yeah, Lolly, that's a good one. This is an example of a sentence we often use in the causative by saying, I got my hair cut, okay? And that is when you are getting somebody else to do something for you, I got my hair cut. In the passive, I got the hairdresser to cut my hair, for example. But my hair was cut is also a good sentence. It just has a different sort of meaning, really. That would mean someone took your hair and was just like, just one piece, not an actual haircut. Science, I was living in an apartment. This is a good sentence, but it's simply the past continuous active voice, okay? In order to create a passive sentence, you need to have a transitive verb. That means a verb that takes an object in the active voice. So let's see here. I was cooked by my mother's lunch. I think you have I think you might mean my lunch was cooked by my mother. Let me know if that's what you mean. I think that's what you mean. She was gone with the wind. Nice. Yeah. Eagle Smrt. We were asked to give another example. Exactly. Good. The car was bought in the concessionaire. Nice, Brian. My car was repaired by the mechanics. Perfect, Lolly. I am being watched by you guys. Exactly, Medrad. It was not taken. It's still here. Kazawa, good job. If you want to separate those two ideas, you should use a semicolon. It was not taken, semicolon, instead of just a comma. It's still here. Okay? Good. So Vladimir, there was a little bit of a confusion this week because of yesterday was a holiday, Canada Day here. So I'm sorry about that confusion. That's why that happened. Okay, nobody was here yesterday to take care of the preview. But we're here now, so everything worked out. Next week will be a preview back to normal. Yeah. He was beaten by his wife. A good sentence. Zuhair, they were come to work. So if you're starting with they, it sounds like you're starting with the agent, so it would be just an active voice. They were late coming to work, for example. The book was written in 1888. Good. The lesson was explained by Julia. Okay, science, good example, but be careful with the order of your sentence. My dog was eaten by my homework would mean that your homework ate your dog, but I think you need it the opposite. So, starting with the object, my homework was eaten by my dog. I think that makes a bit more sense. Nice, Kazawa. I hope you come too and celebrate here in this country. That would be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my Smrt and we're going to add in the past continuous passive. All right, guys? So with the past continuous passive, again, we do need was or were, okay? But this time we need to make sure we have being, okay? This is part of the form, and a PP. So this is as if you want to describe unfinished longer actions. Okay, let's look at some Smrt examples. I didn't know that my photo was being taken. Again, we have a mix of active, I didn't know, and passive, my photo was being taken. So this is not just one photo. This is like click, 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 like the paparazzi, many, many photos. Okay. In the next sentence, we could hear that a party was being held. Okay, so a party is the object, was being held. Continuous, unfinished. The active voice would be, we could hear that our neighbors were having a party. Or we could hear that our neighbors were holding a party. Yes, yes, but Vladimir, you can always remember that being never changes. It's always there in the past continuous passive voice. Yeah. And next sentence. When I went to the bakery, so past simple. Remember that past simple and past continuous, they are often used together, okay? Past simple action interrupts the longer unfinished past continuous action. So when I went to the bakery, I saw that a birthday cake was being made. To make this an active sentence, we would say, when I went to the bakery, I saw that the baker was baking a birthday cake, okay? Or the baker was making a birthday cake. Let's see. While this video was being recorded, the earthquake started. So this past finished action interrupts this past continuous action. So it's unfinished. And Batuhan, we did take this subject about 1 month ago. However, it was present passive. So those forms are different than the past passives. You kind of need to learn and practice with all of the different tenses with the passive voice. But it's good if you already understand why we use passive, okay? And I will give you guys a little refresh on that in a moment. Yeah. Okay, back to the document. So past continuous passive. We have was or were, always being, and PP. Let's get some example sentences. And remember that you would probably want to have 2 clauses, past simple and past continuous. And Eagle Smrt has a good one. I didn't know I was, I didn't know I was being watched. Good. And let's see, while they were, don't forget were, being framed, comma, I ran. Okay, that's an irregular past. I ran. Good. While they were being framed, I ran. Good sentence. Very, your examples today have a theme of, mystery, criminal. And another example. My sister was being eaten pizza. So Dora, your sentence could be perfect if we change one thing, because with passive, you can't start the sentence with the person doing the action. You have to start the sentence with the person or thing receiving the action. So in this case, I would start with pizza was being eaten by my sister. Okay? Pizza was being eaten by my sister. Maybe we can add when I came home, for example. So Vladimir, framed, it's a criminal type of vocabulary where somebody makes it look like you are guilty of a crime that you did not do. Yeah. It's basically like taking someone's hair and leaving it at the scene of a crime so that the police think that they did the crime, but they didn't. Yeah. So Zuhair, when I was in the meeting, she was being used the computer. Zuhair, same thing for you. The first part of your sentence is really good. When I was in the meeting, you need to start with the object, right? So the computer, and then follow the form, was being used. By her is optional. You don't need to say that, okay? So because it's optional, I will put it in brackets. Often a reason why we use the passive voice is because we don't really care about the agent if we're using the passive voice. If we care about the agent, we should simply use the active voice, okay? Hello, Pillar. Welcome. Lolly. When I came home, I noticed that my room was being cleaned by my mother. Excellent sentence. I'll put it in there. When I came home, I noticed that my room was being cleaned by my mother. Excellent sentence. When I was in the meeting or at the meeting. Okay, both prepositions work in this case, Tatiana. Yeah, it's good. And Kazawa, while the gig was being played, I heard a loud sound. Good. Good. So gig in this case, maybe you're not familiar, some of you, with this vocabulary. This is like a musical show by a band, okay? If a band receives a job, like to play at a club or a pub, they could call this a gig, a job. Yeah. So Eagle, he was being brainwashed and being used by some groups. Okay, good. My mother was cleaning my room when I came home is the active voice. Good job, Vladimir. That's right. So we'll go through the last form and then we'll practice with both active voice, passive voice. Okay, so I'll go back. Past perfect passive. Okay, remember last week we worked with the past perfect passive. So past perfect, the finished actions in the past, and if we want to speak about finished actions in the past out of order, then whatever happened first, we would use the past perfect with that, right? So past perfect passive is had, always had, been. The be verb is in all passive voice forms. In this case, it's been, okay? And PP. Kazawa, it is a bit complex for sure, going from active voice to passive voice. Definitely a little bit complicated, but we're going to work through it. Yeah. Definitely more intermediate grammar point for sure. Hi, Noir, welcome. Better late than never, we always say. And Dora, great. There's a good example from you. The book was being written by my teacher. Good. Fabian, when I was in the office, the motorcycle was being stolen by the thief. Good. Very good. Yeah. Okay, so some examples with past perfect passive. Mehmet, which point would you like me to explain again? Yes, Sergey. Hello. We are speaking about the passive voice. So far, we have talked about past simple passive and past continuous passive. Past perfect passive is what we are on now. And you're right, Vladimir. It's not super commonly used. No, not super widely used, but it is definitely used. So it's good to know about and practice. So let's see. The house had just been built when it was destroyed by the hurricane. Okay, so here we have two different actions and two passive voice clauses. This is what happened first. So it takes past perfect passive. This second clause, is what happens second, so it takes the past simple passive. Okay? And let's take a look at the next. The woman had just been rescued from a fire when she arrived at the hospital. Okay? So remember, the use of the adverb just is common with the past perfect. This means that one thing happened not long before the other thing in the past. Okay, so first, she was rescued. Second, she arrived at the hospital. Okay. And you're right, Richard. It is common in the news. All of the perfect tenses, present perfect, past perfect, are common in the news for sure. And passive especially, passive voice is common in the news. That's good. Good point. More examples. When I got to work, the lights had already been turned on. Remember, the use of already with the present perfect and past perfect is definitely common. Okay, so this action is second, and this action is first. One more example, and then we'll do our own examples. The phone had already been scratched when I bought it. So this is the first action. This is the second action. No, just is used with every tense. Yeah, no, just is, it's simply common with those tenses, but that's not a rule or anything like that. Yeah. And this is what scratches are, these little imperfections on something. Okay, so back to our document. Past perfect, passive. Let's try and think of some examples. Eagle Smrt? Good question. I don't know. I know that Chinese is a very, very important language in the world, so perhaps, maybe. I can't say, I don't know. Lolly, when I arrived at the party, good, comma, my friend had just gone. So in this case, this is not a passive voice. This is an active voice, okay? So that's why I deleted been. So I'll put that there, active voice. In order to do passive voice, we do need to have an object, okay? So I can do an passive voice with this. When I arrived at the party, my friend had just been complimented by her. My friend had just been complimented on her outfit, for example. Okay, so that could be a good passive sentence. The active would be the opposite. Passive, because she's receiving the compliment and she is not making the compliment. Okay. Let me get another example. I might, take this off this section because it might confuse people because we're just doing passive for right now. So let's see some passive. The boat had already drowned when the salvation crew arrived. Hicksam, good sentence, sad sentence, but good grammar. The boat, but again, this is more of an active sentence because we wouldn't say drowned, we would say sunk. The boat had already sunk when the salvation crew arrived. But you could say the boat had been destroyed, right? We can say that. The boat had already been destroyed when the salvation crew arrived. Salvation crew, and we also say more commonly rescue crew arrived. Okay. And let's see some more examples. Dora, the tree had been cut down by the man. The tree had been cut down by the man. The tree had been cut down by a man, because we don't know who yet, so a man instead of the man. When I came home. We often, when we're using past perfect, we do need to have more than one action in the past in order to use this tense. So let's see, Tatiana. Imani, the supermarket had just been closed when I arrived at home. Good sentence. Yep. When I came up with a new way to do it, someone had already done it. Good. This is, again, active voice. But I can change your sentence slightly to a passive voice. When I came up with a new way to do it, we could say this solution had already been discovered, for example. Now it's a passive voice sentence, but similar idea to yours. Your sentence is grammatically perfect, but it's active voice. When I started learning English, the opportunity to travel abroad had been taken, we could say. Nawar, good job. Had been taken. Zuhair, the ball was played already when he had been gone. So I think you need to change your order. The ball had been played when he left. That kind of thing. Lolly, good sentence. All the cake had been eaten when I arrived at the party. Yes. Yeah. So Renad, sorry, but this lesson we're going to focus on the passive voice just because we don't want to have too much going on for such a short time. Okay. Kazawa, it's 3:39 here in Vancouver, 3:39 p.m. in the afternoon. Nawar, when I arrived at the train, comma, and let's see, where was your example? It was a good one. Oh, you took it away. The tickets had already been sold. That's good. Yes, Imani, I always share the documents at the end of the class in the chat. Yeah. Whoa, 4:09 a.m. in India. Very early in the morning. Sergey, yes. Everybody speaks differently, you know. Some native speakers speak very clearly, others don't. In the movies, I think it's just the speed, talking so fast. Also, it's much easier to speak clearly when I'm speaking by myself in a room and not with other people. If I'm speaking with other people, I probably speak a lot faster. Yeah. Hello, Free Khalistan. Welcome. 1:39 in Ukraine. Vladimir, very late, I suppose, or early. I don't think you've gone to bed yet, though. 4:40 in El Salvador. Nice, Dora. 3:40 a.m. in Pakistan. Wow, you guys are night owls. Aw, thank you, Kazawa. That's awesome. Very nice to say. Okay, so I will leave the document. Don't worry, you will definitely have the document. Yeah, so you can do some self-study after. All right, back to Smrt. Wonderful Smrt. So, as I did say earlier, a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, we discussed passive voice with the present tense. Okay, so present simple passive, present continuous passive. But today I do want to review quickly the use of passive. So nice. I love seeing all the different times. That's really interesting. So some of you, it's pretty good time. Others, very early or very late. But I really appreciate you all coming. It's awesome. It wouldn't be the same without you guys. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So, passive use. Just a quick review. Remember that in grammar, we have a few different pieces of vocabulary. If we are talking about the person or thing causing the action, doing the action, we often refer to them as the agent, okay? The agent of the verb. You can think of like a secret agent, the person solving the crime, doing the action, okay? If we start with the agent, that means we are speaking in the active voice, okay? For example, the man played the guitar. The man is the agent because he's doing the action, play, okay? And the guitar is the object. So with this sentence, we could form a passive sentence because we have an object. The man played the guitar. The guitar was played by the man. Vladimir, yeah, it's so cool to have people from all over the world together, connected in this chat. It's really great. It's a really interesting concept for sure. Here, next sentence, birds were flying in the sky. So the verb flying, and who's doing that? Birds. But in this case, do you guys think that we can make a passive sentence? So Muez, for this sentence, the passive voice is the guitar was played. Yeah. But in this sentence, Lolly, so agent is the subject, exactly. And Tatiana, exactly right. Vladimir, that's right. Eagle Smrt, very good. If we do not have a transitive verb, in this case, this verb is intransitive. We do not have a direct object. So the passive voice does not exist for this sentence, okay? That's very good. Next, those shoes cost a lot of money, okay? Again, cost is the verb, agent is in subject position. The shoes. In this case, the shoes is not a person, but it's a thing that's doing the action, okay? And in this case, can we do a passive sentence? Is it possible? Not possible. Good job, Muez. There's no object, can't do it. Hi, Gina. Welcome. Okay, so let's take a look. So with active or passive, it all depends on the subject position, okay? That's all there is to it. In the subject position, if you put the agent, it's going to be an active sentence, okay? Subject, verb, object. Agent, subject, verb, object. But if you put the object in the subject position, now it becomes passive voice because you're doing object as subject, verb, and then if you want, by so-and-so, okay? So yes, Vladimir, transitive and intransitive verbs, it is unfortunately a bit of a memorization thing, but it's also a bit tricky because some verbs, they can be transitive in one sentence and they can be intransitive in another sentence. For example, I could say to somebody, I teach. That's it. What do? I teach. That would be teach, intransitive, complete, it's okay. However, I could also say, I teach English. Okay, so now I'm creating the transitive verb, teach English. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a whole nother lesson, talking about transitive and intransitive verbs, but basically a good way to remember it, if your verb has to transfer the action onto something, transitive. For example, the verb fill. And noir, that's exactly it. That's very true. Some are ergative, right? But again, I don't really want to get into this can of worms right now because we will run out of time. And I still have some things I want to do with passive. But we can get to that another day for sure. Yeah, transitive has a direct object. Intransitive does not take an object. Sometimes both, depends on the context. Sometimes ergative, that's right. Okay. But back to this. So again, take a look here. Active voice, a substitute teacher. This is the agent. Is teaching my students. This is present continuous. I can make it past continuous. It's okay. A substitute teacher was teaching my students. So if I change the order of the sentence, I can make it passive voice. My students were being taught by a substitute teacher. Okay, so both sentences, they give the same meaning, but the difference is the focus. Okay, active voice has more focus on the agent, and passive voice has more focus on the object. Substitute teacher, Imane, is a teacher who is filling in for another teacher who is sick or on vacation. Okay, so yes, a substitute teacher is a qualified teacher, but they go from class to class to class to cover other teachers while they are away. Okay, so there are different times to use passive. We've gone over this as well. We use passive when the agent is unknown, so we don't know who did it. For example, my cell phone was stolen. If I don't know who did it, it makes more sense to use the passive voice. Okay, or the car was broken into last night. We don't know who did it. If the agent's not important, we can use passive. If it's clear who did it, like the man was arrested, obviously the police arrested that person. People in general, for example, ice cream is loved all over the world, basically. And we often don't even say the agent. When we're using the passive voice, we don't always include it. Okay? But what I want to do with you guys is a little bit of more practice with the past passive. So what I'm going to do is open the exercise and we're going to practice together. Okay? So let me make a copy and then we can go together and do a little practice. Okay, so I'm going to get to the document and show you guys some sentences here. And what we're going to do is we're going to spend the last 15 minutes doing some practice, okay? So some more practice with the past passive voice. As you can see on our document, we have gone over the past simple passive, past continuous passive, and past perfect passive, okay? So let's go to our document and take a look. What you guys are going to do is try to complete the sentence in the chat or at least just the verb. You don't need to write the entire sentence. Just conjugate the verb how you think you should, okay? So you have some choices to make. Definitely passive voice, yes, but try to think if you should use past simple, continuous, or perfect, okay? So look at the first one. Because of the landslide, the road was closed by police. Was closed. Past simple, finished action, one action. So let's take a look. I will wait for a moment or two in the chat. Please take a moment to decide what you guys think. Muez, this page is part of the Smrt curriculum. Okay, Vladimir and Tatiana. Was caused, Duda girl, Imane, good. Everybody is on the right track. Good job, everyone. That's perfect. Yeah, this is finished and one action, so there's no need for past perfect. Past simple, passive. Good job, everyone. Next. I'll give you guys a moment. Good job, Huber. That's right, for B. So Gina, a landslide is a natural disaster that happens on the side of a mountain, a steep slope, and all of the earth comes down due to a storm, heavy rain. So mud and rocks and trees, they all slide down the side of a mountain. Okay, so I have a mix here for C. Some people was being made, was made, had been made. Okay. So, good job, good guesses. So, think about while is a signal word for the continuous, okay? So if you see while, you can try to think, oh, is this continuous? Because when Sandy arrived home, lunch was being made. So not finished, unfinished. Yeah. Lunch was being made. And you could make this the active voice by saying, Sandy arrived while they were making lunch. Yeah. Okay. Good. And also, if you look at lunch, this is receiving the action. So, passive. D. This computer was $200 off because the box... What do you guys think? Vladimir had been already opened. Okay. Okay. Solid. Was already opened. Had been already opened. Already had been opened. Had already opened. Imane, there you go, had already been opened. Eagle had already been opened. Yes. So, you know, that was good, Vladimir, that was good. Just the adverb placement, be careful with that. We put it after had. Had already, and then been, and then past participle, opened. Good. Good. So, yes, this action first, and this result second. Okay. Be careful with your placement of your adverb, okay? You should put it after had and before been. Okay. Good. Let's continue. E. I turned off the lights, or I turned the lights off, because the room, what do you guys think? the room. Is it finished, unfinished, before another action? Eagle Smrt was not being used. Do to girl was not used. Vladimir was not being, I think you mean being, used. Josenyas, hi from Brazil. Welcome. Gina was not being used. That's good. Wasn't being used, Hixam. Awesome. So, for those of you who thought past continuous passive, that's good. That's perfect. We don't need past perfect because this is talking about one situation, not different past actions. Okay? Yeah. And the active voice would be, I turned off the lights because nobody was using the room. It's not about a finished action. Okay. F. We were at the park when this photo. And when is a signal word for the past simple as well. While, past continuous. When, past simple. So yes, that's right. Was taken is correct. Was taken. Good job, you guys. Awesome. Okay, G. When I got to the party, all the food what do you guys think? Tatiana and Duda Girl had already been eaten. Had already been eaten. That's exactly it. That's really sad, isn't it? Getting to a party and all the food is gone. It's the worst. All the food had already been eaten. That's right. Hello, Sergio Ricardo from Bolivia. Welcome. I love your energy with your exclamation points. Welcome to the chat. We are currently doing some exercises at the end of our lesson. Yeah. Next one, and then we'll go to the next activity, which is a little more challenging. H. We didn't have a car to drive because mine... What do you think about this one? So, Duda Girl, I think your question is, how long have you been alive? Yes, Tatiana, they are very similar, so it's a bit tricky, but been, being. You do need that ing sound. Been, being. Been, being. Yeah. They're so similar, but the ing is the difference. Been, being. Was being fixed. Was being fixed. That's great. That's really great. Was being fixed is the correct answer. Because at that moment of speaking, it's not finished. The car is still in the shop, right? Yeah. So, Duda Girl, it's part of a fixed form. Being is for the continuous, past continuous passive. Being is what makes it continuous, okay? But being is for the past perfect passive, okay? So you really got to be just careful and focus on details here. Because this is a continuous form, that's why you need being. This is a past perfect form, so you need being, okay? And you know what? Let's gonna go down and skip the last few because I want to work on 3 before we have about 6 minutes left. Okay, and then Adam's gonna come in here and stream. Before he comes, let's go over a few of these exercises. Okay, so for these exercises, you have a few decisions to make. You have to decide between the tenses, past simple, past continuous, or past perfect. But then you need to choose between the voices, active voice or passive voice. So you need to pay attention to the subject position, okay? We're going to start with this sentence. So this is how we need to complete the sentence. How do you think we should complete it? So is it an agent or is it an object? And what do you think the tense should be? So Eagle Smrt, my stream is on Tuesdays from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But today there was a mix-up, so I was about 6 minutes late. So I'm going to go until about, 10 after 4. Yeah. So imene, you said wasn't used. Tatiana, it was not being used. It was not being used. So this should be the continuous because it's not about one finished action. It's about an ongoing lack of action. Nobody is using the coffee machine. So I took it home because it wasn't being used. That's right. Okay, so this is the correct form to use. Good. Let's look for C. Think about the subject position, he. Is he the agent or is he receiving an action? He was arrested by the police because Vladimir didn't have a driver's license. Good job. Musfik, because he made a mistake, we would say. But yes, this is good. Have in this case is a stative verb, so the past simple, okay? And it's not passive voice because he is the agent. So imene, he had not had a driver's license, is not necessary to use the past perfect in this case. So Zara, welcome from New Zealand. Beautiful, beautiful place. But yes, you can watch this video again after. It will be on YouTube. Yeah, no problem. Let's continue. Does not, I mean, yeah, I suppose you could say this in the present. He was arrested by the police because he does not have a driver's license. That's okay. That means that he has never had it. He doesn't have it. In this case, it could mean the same, but it could also mean that he simply didn't have it with him at that time, right? So, swimming teacher, is she the agent or the object? The swimming teacher was trying her best, but the boy was too frightened to put his head under the water. And right, Tatiana, she's the agent. Yep. So in this case, it could be past simple, it could be past continuous, both would work, okay? The swimming teacher was trying her best, comma, or, so this is one option, bold it. You could also say tried her best. Really, both could work. It depends on what you want to focus on. Tried her best. Yeah. Exactly, Gina. Good job. What do you guys think about E? Is John the agent or is John the object? That will determine the voice you use, passive voice or active voice. Tatiana, good. John is the agent. John is doing the action. That's awesome. Right, Vladimir, yeah. And do you think it's finished? Continuous? Is it before another action? Finally appeared. Yep, when John finally appeared, we were able to start the meeting. That's right. And remember, when is a signal word for past simple. Good job, you guys. We'll do a few more. The door was open because it... Okay, so it is receiving the action or doing the action. And it's negative. The door was open because it wasn't locked. Hadn't been locked. That's the one I wanted because it hadn't been locked. Okay, remember that this is a good time you could use past perfect, okay, because this is what comes second. Why does it happen? Because before this happened, it hadn't been locked. In this case, it does sound fine to say the door was open because it wasn't locked. Okay, it's kind of both are okay. It's obvious that one happened before the other, so. Okay. And we'll do one more and then we'll be finishing up. This time last year, we were living in our old place, this house. Is this receiving the action or doing the action? Yep, good. This house is receiving the action. That's right. And it's unfinished in this context. So good. Was still being built. Past participle. Good. Perfect. This house was still being built. Exactly, you guys. Good job. Good job. Okay, so that's it for today. Sorry for starting a little bit later today. That hopefully will not happen again. I was here, trust me, I'm always here 10 minutes early. But yes, I will share the document in the chat, and I appreciate you guys being here with me and giving me so many good examples. I really appreciate that. And you're all helping each other. That's awesome. So, yeah, next week, let me see if there are any questions. So, Avinash, the meaning of was still being built is simply that you weren't living at that house because they were still building it. It was not finished. So, a new house being built. Yeah. Thank you, Tatiana. I wish you a great week as well. This weekend's my birthday, so I'm pretty excited for that. And yeah, yesterday was Canada Day, so, you know, everything was a little bit different on this Tuesday because it's like Monday. But yeah, watch the lesson again if you'd like, and continue working on your English skills this week. Next week, we'll be getting into some modals, okay? So feel free to come and join. We're moving into Unit 4. Thank you, everyone, for the wishes. I appreciate it. I won't tell you how old I'm turning because I'm getting old, but I'm going to have a good time. So you can ask me about it next week. And yeah, I'll put this in the chat. So I'll say goodbye now, and thank you again. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Though everybody know it, the truth about our way. We tied and loose ends up, I'm sorry. Be cool, go on and fake it. We still know we will break it. We make the